Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this past week's trades and a weekly recap. Before I get into the recap, if you're not in the room, you can find a link in the description of the video and in my bio section of social media accounts. Also, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Now, I did finish the week with 14 wins and 6 losses for a win rate of 70% for the week, which is below what I'm looking for, which is 85%. Every day, the first play of the day was a loser. I'm not sure if it was every single day, but I think it was. If it wasn't, it was probably only one day, because I felt like every first play I took this week was a loser. I tried to be patient, and I just got trapped. And then sometimes you just think that something's going to rip or dump right at open. It doesn't. It's been a nightmare for trading this week. But and SPX has been really expensive. So with that said, we'll get right into it. The first play of the day, actually, wait, before I get ahead of myself, Trade Ideas room on the 10th. I didn't even call it trade. I called it QQQ. Okay, on the 10th, which is right here because there's massive gap down. I said spot QQQ calls over 45.50, which is up here. I'm thinking, okay, we went from $4.92, we're down $8, and usually when we gap down big at pre-market, we usually end up popping it open and squeezing people out. That's just the way it usually is, and that's what I thought was going to happen, and it didn't. So yeah, 90% of the time, if we gap down, we're gonna pop it open. If we gap up huge, we usually fade. This is just the market's way of just tricking everybody, because if you gap up huge, everyone's piling into calls and they flush and take everyone out. If it gaps down huge, everyone's jumping into puts right at open and they pop it to take you out. And that's just how it's been 90% of the time. But this is that one time where it didn't, but I waited. The first 2-minute candle, it did not break the 485.50. So the first 2-minute candle was red. But when I made new high a day, I was like, okay, here we go. We're going to rip. So I bought the 481 puts at $3.03. No, I bought puts. I didn't buy calls. Okay, I bought puts. Okay, at 9.53. So I bought it right here. Okay, I thought for some reason I thought I bought calls here, but I didn't. Okay. Tesla got me though. But anyways, we're getting ahead of myself. So we get the red candle here, started the pop here. I didn't take it. Probably was thinking about it. I don't remember. I have to look at the room. But no, once I broke lower day right down here, being closer to 10 o'clock, I took puts. So yeah, I took the 481 puts at 303, and they dropped from 303 to 710, making a 100% move. So QQQ was definitely a good play. Then I took Tesla calls, 250. Tesla's RSI has been really low all week long. And the took calls what? 11.18, which is right here. Actually, right here. And RSI was really low. It was like below 30 at this point. And you can see it's starting to make a U pattern right here. So I was thinking, okay, we get over this 241, we're going to pop. And I got trapped. So I got the 250 calls at 670. Then I ended up stopping out at 250. So that was... so this was the one day I did not take the loss on the first play. It was the second play, but yeah, the rest of the week it was a loss in the first play. But yeah, Tesla didn't work out, but it was showing a U pattern right here on an oversold daily. So, and I was like, okay, we're gonna end up popping, and I kept waiting for Tesla to pop and pop and pop, and it never really did. So then I took SPX calls at 11:31. I took SPX calls at 11:31. Must be right here. Yeah, you can see it's not making new low a day. Green candle, red, green. It came back up. So once it broke over this 565 area. That's when I grabbed calls. I grabbed the 57.25 calls at 650. And then went from 650 to 750, not much of a play. Then I just get slapped down. Then I played calls again at 313. Which is down here. Yeah, I got it in this candle. I'm not quite sure why I got it. I got it at 430. Maybe I got it. Okay, I remember this play. Because we were up. We had a $12 drop. Well, actually, you know, we'll round up to 570. That'd be 560. That'd be a $14 drop. And once we got this exaggerated drop right here, I just jumped in. I just front loaded the calls. In fact, I think that when this started to turn green, I jumped in calls. I jumped into 5,600 calls at 430, and they went from 430 to 25, making that a 400% move right there. I got lucky, but SPY was already at the $14 range. SPY does not like trading massive ranges like that. Usually on a really deep red day, a massive range is 10 to 12. And if there's massive fear like there was during COVID, we'll see greater than 12. We'll see 15 to 20. But we won't see candles like this. We will see massive $2 candles and just keep going and going and going. We will literally see fear. These small candles right here, this is not fear. Now, if we had big candles like this with 559, yeah, see, this is fear. If we had those all the way down, then those would be fear. It would even be bigger. They'd even be like this, red. This would be a fear candle if that was red. And this is not fear. This is not fear right here at all. These small 10-minute candles is not fear. So I just said, oh, I was like, okay, we're gonna end up reversing at some point. And I was just watching it, but when we had this massive drop right here, that's when I just jumped in the calls, and plus 5,600 being a nice big round number, being $14 down. It seems like to me, it seemed like a no-brainer, but I mean, it could have been a loss. I mean, it is what it is. So then on the 11th, trading newsroom, I said SPY calls with 562, which is what, up here? Yeah, see, the SPY is getting oversold on the daily by this time, and I don't think it's quite under 30 yet, but it's in the low 30s. Thinking, okay, we've had so many red days. If you look at the, let's look at the daily, which is what, Tuesday right here. I mean, this is pretty significant right here. And so this is Tuesday 11th right there. No, that's the 10th. Okay, this is 11th. So look at all these red candles. You don't usually see something like that. And the RSI, I don't have the RSI on this chart, but this chart, but yeah, it was getting low 30s, and I was like, okay, we're gonna end up bouncing. So I was looking for a bounce on this day. What did I say? 562.50 or 562, which is right here, and we did get a little bit of a bounce. Now, did I take on the 11th? I took puts on Q. Okay, so the traded newsroom, I said SPY, but I looked at Q because SPY was too expensive. Let's see, Q, I took puts at 933. Why did I take puts? Oh, I see why. Because we touched here at 472, and I was thinking, okay, if we get below 472, we're going to dump and possibly see 465. But even though I called for a bounce on SPY, this is why after I called the bounce on SPY, this is when I switched to Q, and I noticed this little triple bottom at 472, and if it broke 472, it could possibly collapse. So when I broke 472, I jumped in the QQQ 472 puts at 362. And then it ripped, and I stopped out. So, but in sound, I mean, I probably should have waited for the first 10-minute candle to form, then just take new low a day. But I didn't. I just jumped the gun. I should have known that was going to happen. That was kind of a stupid move, but I had a lot of stupid moves this week. Then I took calls at 952, which is right on SPX, so I guess switch to SPY, which is right here, 952. Oh, it's in this candle. What? At 952, I took calls. Why? I don't know why I took calls over here. But yeah, I took 5,700 calls at 56, at 560, and I stopped at 250. I don't know why I took calls right there. This was news. This was, I think, the JOLTS report. I don't remember. One of the news things. But yeah, I don't know why I took calls here. I honestly don't know. I should have taken that, but it's a loss I could have avoided. 2 losses I could have avoided right there. I should have waited out the first 10 minutes, and I shouldn't have taken that one. So I could have avoided 2 losses right there. Then I took puts at 1037 on Tesla, 1037, which is right here when it broke below a day. I took the Tesla 210 puts at 570, and they went from 570 to 710 right there. So that ended up being a good play. Then I took calls at 1132, which should be right here. This I get the strong move up, red candle, and once it got over 558.40, that's when I took the 5650 calls at 660, and they went from 660 to 920. So I definitely get why I did that. But the first 2 plays of that day I shouldn't even touched. And yeah, looking at Wednesday's play, another loss in the morning. But trading ideas room on the 12th, I said SPY calls over 563, which is up here. I'm still looking for a bounce. And when I got to 563, this is what I was thinking. Okay, this I would have probably taken again, because I'm looking for a strong move. But what if we close the day before? Yeah, we closed down here. We gapped up. I probably shouldn't have touched that. Went to what I was saying earlier, that SPY gaps up, it fades it open. I should have known better, but I didn't. I thought we were going to short squeeze and we were going to pop. So once it got over 563, I jumped into the 563 calls on SPY, not SPX, but SPY. Got them at $3, and then I stopped out at 2. Then I switched to 560 puts once it broke low a day at 948, so right here. So yeah, once it popped up here and rejected, I cut it and switched sides. I switched to the 560 puts at 3, and they went from 3 to 4, so that ended up being a good play. Then I got calls at 1123 right here. Not quite sure why I grabbed it right there. 1123. It's not quite the lower day from on Tuesday, but some reason I picked it out right there. But yeah, I think that get it at 1123. So I got it here. I must have picked up over 556. That makes sense, because the theme lately has been that if SPY dumps the first couple hours, it V rallies. And if it pops the first couple hours, it usually dumps the last rest of the day. Usually the turning point of the reversal period is somewhere between 11 and 1, but usually it's been around 12 and 1. But the SPY doesn't care about time. So, but yeah, once I get over 556, that's when I grabbed the 5630 calls at 540, and they went from 540 to 1430. One of the plays this week, I think this was the play that I had to get so far out of the money that it moved like $4 or $5, and it barely went 100%. And I think this was the move right here, because if you got that at the money where it normally is, where it's when IV is low, usually at 540 at 11 o'clock, you probably get one out of the money, and that, yeah, that would have gone from 5 to probably 20 or 30, but it is what it is. Then I took what puts at 155, which is right here. Didn't get to higher day, but it tried to make a cup and handle. It popped a little bit here, then it quickly came back down. But once it got below 559, I jumped in. I grabbed the 55.80 puts at 790, and they went from 790 to $13 right there. See, so they went from 790 to $13. So they went $5 on that little move right there, versus this where they went from only 9. So $5 barely right here on a small little drop, probably because it was a closer, probably right at the money or close to at the money, and this took so much more room, more of a run to actually make the $9. Is kind of stupid, but it's just how it is when IV's up and you have to play far out of the money and the time of day. So, but yeah, the puts played out really good right there. So then yeah, the 13th, which I think was 13th, which was I believe Thursday. Yeah, another loss. Okay, in the traded is room on Thursday, so SPY goes over 559.50, which is up here, rounded down to the nearest $0.50. And same thing, I was expecting a pop. This is the one I was thinking about earlier that I thought I took a red candle, exact same move, but I didn't play puts right here. Well, I did, but not right here. But got a red candle, and I thought, okay, we're gonna pop. This is gonna be the day. And it made new high day. I jumped into the 56.50 calls at 650, thinking we're gonna pop, and it ended up being a fake out. So it ended up dumping, and I cut it at 4. So wasn't too happy about that. Then it took puts at 1034, which is right here. Not quite sure why I took it here, but I did. I took the 55.30 puts at 1034, which is right there. I don't know. Maybe I must have taken it under 556. I'm not quite sure. I would have probably waited for 555, but I think maybe because it broke out and it got slammed on, I took it underneath this candle right here, underneath 556. That's the only thing I can think of. But it ended up working out, so I got the 55.30 puts at 690, and they went from 690 to 930 right there. So it ended up being a pretty good move. Then it took puts at 1152, which is right here. A big red candle, then you have a big green candle. It looks like it's going to bounce, and it doesn't. And once it got below 553, that's when I grabbed the puts. I grabbed the 5,500 puts at $7, and they went from $7 to $8.40. Every little green pop has gotten slammed on, slammed down, slam, slam, slam. I mean, every pop has gotten shut down. Well, this was a bigger pop, but that day it sustained a little better, and this day it recovered. But yeah, Thursday it was just crapping on the green candles left and right. So then it took puts at what, 325 versus right here, and I can see why I took it here. I rejected VWAP. I got onto this FU setup. I get a big red candle right here, green candle, and boom, it dumped, right? So I grabbed it right underneath the 552.40, I think I grabbed it, or maybe it was underneath 552.20, not quite sure. If I got the wick or got the body, probably would have gotten the wick because it's pretty small. Well, I don't know, maybe it was the body, I don't know. But in that area, I grabbed the 55.20 puts at 550, and they went from 550 to $12. So that ended up being a pretty decent play. And on Friday, another morning loss. So yeah, Monday was the only day I didn't have a morning loss. I traded his room on Friday. SPY puts in a 55.50, and I think that I was calling for a bounce all week long. All week long, I kept calling calls for a bounce, for a short squeeze, just for a dead cat bounce. I'm not looking for a V rally back to 600 or all-time high. I was just looking for that. Whenever we have these deep drops, we usually have a 2-day rally, 2 to 3 day rally, and I've just been waiting for it all week long. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna start calling puts, because this thing just can't get any momentum. Anytime it starts to bounce, it just gets crapped on. So I called puts in the morning, and the 555.50, which is right here, and it bounces. Go figure. So yeah, first 2-minute candle was green. I didn't take the ORB, but when it got, we had this was news, like I think it was consumer sentiment. It was wild candle. So once it broke, oh, I took it at 10 right here. Okay, I remember I didn't touch it here because I wanted to calm down. And then we had this inside candle, and I said, okay, if we get underneath 556, I'm going to take puts. And it dipped right under 556, just enough to get me in. And I got in at 5,500 puts at 550. And as soon as I got in, it reversed. I stopped out at 2. Then I took calls at 10:47 right here when it got over 559. Right over this area, 559.20. That's when I took the 56.30 calls at 610, and they went from 610 to $11 plus. So when I realized it got bought up and it looked like it was going to dump here, and it got bought up and was come back to high day, I was like, okay, we are going to pop. Maybe this is the day we're actually going to end up going. So getting the calls up here ended up being a really good play. So yeah, they went from what, 610 to $11. So then I took puts at 1209, which is right here. I think I took him underneath the 561. I'm not quite sure why I took it right there. 561. I think there was something going on in the hourly that made me take the 561. Oh yeah, the 561, which was right here. You get a lot of hourly resistance in 561 in the 562 area right here. So that's why I took it. I took puts when it started to show weakness right here. So blow it up a little more. Yeah. Once it started to show weakness right in the 562 area, that's when I grabbed puts. But I waited till it got underneath 561, and that's when I grabbed the 55.90 puts from 750 to 930. So that ended up being a good play. Then I took calls at oh yeah, I remember this one right here, the ascended triangle on a Friday. And that's another thing I've noticed. I mentioned in the room that we've had, this was the third Friday in a row we've had a strong green day, and we've had red weeks and 3 green Fridays. So something to keep an eye on. Something we used to use always in the past, back a few years ago, or maybe a little longer, that if it was a green week, you could almost always bank that Friday would be red. And if it was a red week, you'd almost bank that Friday would be green. So we've seen that 3 weeks in a row, red weeks with green Fridays. And being Friday end of day with the ascending triangle making higher lows, and it's flattening out at the 562.50, that when I got up here and I got over 562.50, I'm going to take calls. I took the 56.40 calls at $1.50. And then went from $1.50 to 6.40, making a 300% move right there. So that popped. In the day on a Friday, usually if it's at higher day or near higher day on a Friday, it's either going to chop and pin at higher day, or it's actually going to pop. So at this time it actually popped. So that ended up being a good play. So despite, took 6 losses. I mean, I have 2 of them I could have avoided altogether, maybe 3 of them. So I'll try to be a little more cautious next week, and not try to make so many reckless moves. But last market was a little tough this week. I think next week will be pretty wild. I think we got FOMC. I have to look at the news. But anyways, that's going to do it. And thanks for watching.